Jim Richards' car number 1. Oh, and we've got another car really, and in fact we've got 3, 4, 5 wrecks up on turn number 3, and it's a real schmozzle, including Dick Johnson, whose car is on fire. Alan Grice piles to the middle of the pack, ridden his car off as well. We've got 3, 4, 5 cars there. In fact, 6.
Yep, 6 cars, including Grice, including Johnson. It's hard at this moment.
Johnson's car is a complete wreck. So is Alan Grice. Goodness me, I didn't pick the car that set that off. I just looked up, caught it from the corner of my eye.
There's Dick Johnson climbing out of his car.
That's 2 in a week.
Well, he'd almost come to a dead stop in the centre of the track when Grice speared through the turn and slammed straight into the side of him. How he didn't hit one of those other cars before he hit Johnson, I'll never know.
I wonder whether we have anything on race cam of that incident. It'll be pretty spectacular. Bill Venturini having his second prang. Let's have a look at our Goodyear replay of just exactly what happened. Turn number 3 we're looking at is it David Sousby. Oh, no, this has happened further up the track.
Bill Venturini's in there somewhere.
It's the 14 car that triggered all of that off.
Harry Gillard. Lap number 81 of 280. Alan Grice goes in at about 150 mile an hour, slams into Dick Johnson. Still can't pick up all the players in this. 6 cars in total.
There's the rest of the field coming in very quickly for pit stops after that very spectacular incident involving 2 of the Australian runners in the field, Alan Grice and Dick Johnson. That's Harry Gallard's car.
Placings on the Castrol scoreboard. Dave Marcus, the leader in car 71 from Bobby Allison, car 12. Then Ron Esau, 78. Sumner McKnight up to 4th place now in car number 83. And rounding out the top 5, car 19, Chad Little.
Been taken to the infield hospital, neck in a brace, just a cautionary measure, of course, after taking a pretty solid wallop coming through the field and then separating Dick Johnson's car and another vehicle in that rather spectacular crack-up that has brought us back under yellow flag laps in the running of the Goodyear 500. Let's have a look at the replay once again for you, actually what happened. There's Dick Johnson going in. He had nowhere to move. Byers is already in against the wall. Gallardi has already triggered that off. Now watch Dick Johnson, 17. He gets around sideways. Gallardi comes down the bank. And Alan Grice arrives sideways trying to miss. And he goes in and catches John Laws in car number 6 on the way through as well. 25, another car involved in that accident. Here's another angle for you. From a camera following the number 17 car, it hooks the 96 car, goes up, touches, fires.
Flash fire.
And once again, oh, how quick did Grice arrive in that accident.
Of course, he had no brakes. We made mention of that. He mentioned earlier to our race cam people that he had a problem. That's John Law's car number 6.
So there, in fact, were 8 cars involved in that. Bill Venturini was one of them, along with Ken Laws. Let's go down to Chris Economaki.
Well, down at David Sotheby's pit, there's a lot of souvenirs for sale. Souvenirs of the Calder Thunderdome. Parts that have been taken off of his car as a result of that crash. And they're not through taking weight off this car. It'll be in again while they do some more work. Sotheby's a persistent performer. His dad before him was one of the greats on the sand at Daytona Beach. They've chiseled off so much of the sheet metal. The hood is over there, and he's going to come back in and get some more taken off. He's determined to finish this Goodyear 500 at the Calder Thunderdome. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. There's the 28 car coming in. But let's have a look at a race cam replay. Again, we have this covered from just about every angle today for you. It's Dick Johnson, of course. And you'll see as he moves onto the back straight, Dick was making great progress. Head down the back straight, coming up now into turn number 3, and the touch has already started. There's one sideways, and watch how quickly it appears as Dick hits it. Race cam spins around. Dick has already stopped. And that was before he received the clout from Alan Grice.
The second wreck in 3 days for you, Dick. You don't want this to be habit forming.
I think that's just the way this sort of motor racing is, Peter. It's pretty cut and thrust. I don't mind that at all. It's just, it annoys me when you become part of somebody else's accident, you know, when you've got absolutely no control over whatsoever. I picked what I thought was a hole, but before I knew it, somebody had filled it, and then somebody hit me, and then somebody else hit me, and it just kept going and going.
The car doesn't look too flash at all, Dick. Is it a write-off?
One would never know. These things are pretty tough. It's pretty bent in the front, but I think you'll be able to straighten it out because you just cut bits off and put bits in and so on. And I think, yeah, we'll have it up and running. We've got another car anyway, and that's why you need 2, I think.
There's the race. Yeah, the race cam still working in the in the vehicle of Alan Grice, just doing that 360 pan. Just look at the damage out the back.
The back of his car in the race starter was about out to here. It's been shortened up by 3 to 4 feet. And this is all heavy racing construction with chrome moly tubing. Fortunately, the fuel cell inside here maintained its structure. This fuel cell here bent and battered, but the rubber sack inside did not burst. Had it burst, it most certainly would have been a dangerous fire. You can see the tubing here, how it's bent. Grice really took a hit, and we certainly hope he's okay in the hospital. Back to you, Mike.
Well, the pace car, in fact, will pull to the pit area and will get them down for the green. And as they come across the line now, going through to take over the lead as the race recommences, Kyle Petty was on the outside. 32 tries to find a run down here on the inside, and Jimmy Richards is in amongst them. Petty didn't get the best of starts as they swing through onto the back straight. The Kroger car now comes down the back straight with Kyle Petty at the wheel. And sweeping by him there, going down the outside is the veteran Herschel McGriff in car number 98.
Well, you'd think that was a case of severe lack of horsepower for Kyle Petty. Car being gobbled up down the back straight. So it's Ron Esau who leads. Ruben Garcia in second place. Car number 98 is Herschel McGriff. He's having a go on the inside.
We have a 4-car freight train going here, coming off turn number 4. Here's Bonnet now starting to apply the pressure as he comes down into the tri-oval, and will try and pitch Herschel McGriff on the inside, does so. McGriff will try and out racing down to the bottom corner, but Allison is already through as well. He now advances to third spot in the field. And just up in front of them is Ron Esau as they make their way past the slower car coming onto the back straight. Ron Esau, the Jim Robinson entry, the Eurovox car radio car, up into the left-hander, and here is Neil Bonnet, the man applying plenty of pressure. Allison thinking about a run right around the outside. He's going to try and pull it. They're coming down into the tri-oval, and Bobby Allison trying to go down the outside. Bonnet attacks the inside. They're side by side as Bonnet looks for the inside pass, but Bobby Allison down the outside, getting plenty of pressure. Can he pull it here on the outside? They work their way out of turn number 2, coming onto the back straight. It all depends now on race leader Ron Esau, where he sits on the racetrack.
You know, Allison's getting amazing grip out of that car at the moment. He now edges up into second place. He's on the attack. Esau on the inside line. We might just have a lead change here. Bonnet coming off a little worse for wear in this dice. Down towards the front straight. And the new leader is Bobby Allison from Ron Esau, but Esau will have the inside line as they get down to turn 1 once again. But Allison closes the gap, and he is throwing that car around the course at the moment.
He's the first driver who's been working the outside groove here all afternoon and making a payoff for him. Bonnet decides to have a piece of the action. He goes by Esau on the outside, and all that time, you'll notice that Herschel McGriff was thinking about it. He hasn't been able to do it just as yet, but Allison will lead them down across the start-finishing line. From Neil Bonnet, Ron Esau, then, of course, Herschel McGriff in the 98 car. Let's check them out on the Castrol scoreboard. Bobby Allison is your race leader. Second spot held by Neil Bonnet. Third is Ron Esau. Fourth, Kyle Petty. And fifth, Ruben Garcia. 121 of 280 laps. The Goodyear 500 from Calder Park Thunderdome. We're riding with Neil Bonnet in the Raymock Valvoline Pontiac V8. And he's tailing at the moment Bobby Allison in the number 12 Buick as they head down the back straight. They drop to the low groove coming off turn number 4, heading back down the start-finishing straight. Coming up on a slower car, I think that in fact is Michael Waltrip in car number 30, still circulating. Hasn't had the best of races. Jimmy Richards under the green has been in and out of the pits in a very quick stop for Jimmy Richards. Allison works the high line, and here's Neil Bonnet down on the inside again. There's Waltrip working the draft, going down the back straight. Waltrip in the 30 car, and Bonnet eases by him. Just watch the line here of Bonnet, who really likes to cling low as they come out of here, down through this, what we call the tri-over, little kick to the left halfway down the straight. They go down to the first turn again. Just notice how much Allison's car is in fact moving around now.
Yes, I noticed that a couple of laps ago. But all the time, Bobby has been working the high line on the track. Rushes up to the turns very high, very deep, brakes very late. Doesn't appear to be too worried about the unsettling effects of the track in some places. He said to me yesterday that in turns 1 and 3, when you're on the high line, you've got to be very careful because there's a very, very slight rise in the track. You can't detect it with the eye when you're standing there, but you can sure feel it at 170 miles an hour.